Hello and welcome to this episode of the Four Ps podcast. In a couple of weeks, in spring of 2026 this year, I'm going to have a book that I co-wrote with a guy by the name of Derek Stroken called Unscrewed. And this book is basically talking about people, we get caught up in a mindset where we are, you know, even and I'll put it this way, even in the academic world, we are trained to be followers. I mean, we really are. We're trained to follow the rules. We're trained to do these certain things that are necessary to make the machine work. Okay, so what do? We go to school to become accountants. We go to school to become marketers. We go to school to become all these. And what we don't do is we don't I mean, even like entrepreneurial programs and stuff like that at schools are very slow, and they're very few and far between. And some of the best entrepreneurial programs out there, again, they're not recognized. They're not recognized. Business schools are recognized all the time, and yes, entrepreneurism is business. Yes, it is, but there's a little bit of a difference. You can have a business school and still not know how to run a business. Okay. But you know how to run certain parts of business. Because again, like I said, you have HR specialists, you have you have marketing specialists and stuff like that. Our guest today is a guest that, again, when I talked to her, I was extremely impressed with her. Her name is Leslie Hocker. She's out of the Houston, Texas area. She is an entrepreneur, but how she became an entrepreneur is a little different. She was trained like all of us. She was trained like all of us to get your college degree and follow the rules and do your thing. She went out on her own and she's doing great things. And today she's going to talk to us about what she does, how she does it. And I am very, very happy to have Leslie Hocker to be a part of this program today. We'll be right back right after this.
Some fathers teach you how to stand tall. Others teach you how to survive. In Lessons from My Father, Dr. Trunnis Goggins II confronts the legacy of a powerful, complicated man and the truths no one talks about. This is a story of discipline and damage, loyalty and fear, love that left scars. Because sometimes the hardest lesson is understanding the man who made you. Lessons from My Father. Available now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and anywhere you buy books.
Welcome back to the 4Ps podcast. I always say this every single episode. I always have very interesting guests on the podcast. Today's podcast guest is no different. I have been doing podcasts, and I'm going to tell you this, Leslie. I've been doing podcast episodes. This is going to be my third year. I think I'm at 100 and some odd episodes, whatever. I have only had two people from the state of Texas.
Oh my gosh. Now, wow. That's a huge state. That's wild.
It is a huge state. Now I'm going to tell you, and my friends will probably agree. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. Okay. And we have a thing, we really do have a thing about Texas. I don't know if it's a inferiority complex when it comes to Texas, where we feel inferior to you. We've lost Super Bowls to you, everything else like that. But I don't know what it is. But I don't know why I don't ever get Texans on. And great state. It is a huge state. And I'm going to say, speaking of industry and economy and just efficiency, Texas is the epitome of all that. And Leslie, you represent that as well. We have Leslie Hocker. She is a part of the 4Ps family, and she is on the program. Welcome to the podcast, Leslie.
Thank you so much, Trunnis. I'm excited to be here. And a lot of people don't know that Texas was its own country for a period of time.
Sure was.
And sad to say, I did not learn that in school because I'm not originally from Texas. But when I was in London, there was a restaurant called the Texas Embassy. And it was in the building that the Republic of Texas had their embassy for, I think, 6 years or something. So,
I will
um,
be. So you found that out in London, England,
yes,
that Texas, yes. I think it was a country for 5 years, 6 years.
6 years, something like
Yeah.
that. And also, funny thing, when I first moved here, when I graduated from university, and we didn't have any wineries, but Texas was in the process of that evolving because it takes time growing the grapes,
Right.
processing, etc. Well, the first Texas winery produced their first bottle of red and white, and then everybody, I'm like, what's going on? Everybody's saying now we can secede. We have our own
Again, yes.
winery.
Yes, it was funny because Texas was a country for 6 years. It was a state originally for like 12 years, and then it became part of another country called the Confederate States of America. I mean, it really, really needs to settle down when it comes to history. I mean, it really needs to settle down, make up its mind. What does it want to be? You know, but what it is it is a great country, great state, and go ahead.
I will tell you what I actually love, and I'm actually in the Houston area, and people ask me what's the difference between Dallas and Houston. And Houston is very entrepreneurial, it's very diverse, and a lot of that comes from the petroleum industry, which I was a part of because of wildcatting, all the things. And Dallas is more traditional business with banking, and of course it's
Mm-hmm.
inland. And so they're it's two very different places. So I've always enjoyed Houston or the Houston area, just because the people are willing to try new things, do new things, and embrace new things. So that's how I see
Absolutely.
it.
It is a gorgeous city. It really is. It's a gorgeous city. When I was in the Navy, I was down in New Orleans, and it was only like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive to Houston. And it's just a gorgeous place. I love the city of Houston. I really do. I haven't been there. I'm going to, in full disclosure, I haven't been there in a long while. I do need to go back. I really do need to go back because it is like you said, it's diverse. It's a great city. It is a it's got tons of industry, lots of stuff to do, and it's great.
Hmm.
And speaking of that, your diversity and your flexibility and your versatility is indicative of Houston. And what I mean by that is you have a vast resume. You're an athlete. You're an entrepreneur. You were in the petroleum industry. You've been in sales, and now you're doing medical. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But there's so many things you do. What I want to ask you is, you said you're retired, and that's a lie, clearly, because you are definitely never, you
Well,
know.
no, I retired in 20, I don't know, 8 or 9 or seven, and then came out of retirement multiple times. So
Exactly. Yeah. See, so I can't say you're retired. I mean, but you are doing so many things. What keeps you? What what keeps you as active as you are and I don't want to say in the industry because it's what keeps you just active in business and in all these different things.
that's a great question. If I had to narrow it down to just a few things, uh, I love learning new things, and I enjoy making a difference and empowering people to basically be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been a lifelong learner. I think my mom probably started that. Bookmobiles were a thing when I was a kid, and there were five of us, so she would take us to the bookmobile, and we got to check out 2 weeks worth of books, and literally I'd check out a book a day. It wasn't all I
Mm-hmm.
did was read, because I was started as an athlete younger, but it was something that she instilled in us, is learning. And my mother even She, for decades, she was always reading something historical, uh, fiction or history, or she never really read fiction. Is interesting. She would read, oh, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, like Mice and Men, and I mean all of those. So
Yeah, right when you said that, I forgot. I know what you're talking about. It's fiction, but
right.
um,
So it's I think
historical
she
fiction, I guess that's what you
it
call it,
is it's
right?
historical
Yeah.
fiction.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's, but I'm trying to remember the author's name, but it's just I think that's it, being curious. And I've thought a lot about healthy aging, healthy longevity, because one of my husband's a PharmD, doctor of pharmacology. He's retired too. Well, we're actually in business together. We haven't killed each other yet, so that's a
Good.
good thing. We still
Hmm.
like each other. Um, but and one of my brothers is a neuro. His doctorate's in neurophysics, and we all love to learn and hack longevity together. So there's so much out there that people can do that help them have a full and vibrant life, that I laugh because some of the habits that I've developed over the years now are becoming mainstream, and
Hmm.
influencers are talking about them. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's really, a lot of it's common sense.
Right. You know, and it's funny. It says in the Bible, "There's nothing new under the sun," and that is the truth. I mean, the only thing is you just deliver it a lot different because of technology. And that's a true statement. And so you were an athlete back in college, correct?
Yes, yes.
What did you do in college?
I was a swimmer. I actually got the first athletic scholarship they gave at Oklahoma University to a female athlete. I swam on the men's swim team my freshman year, so now you know how old I am. And then Title IX came along,
Hmm.
and I got the first scholarship. And I actually ended up as a swimmer because, as the oldest of five children, my parents wanted something that they could keep all that we could all do. And my brothers played baseball and the other things, but they wanted something that they could keep us out of trouble, basically, if you really
Okay.
come right down to it, because we were all
Right.
just a few years apart. And so it ended up being a blessing. I loved it. It paid my way through school, and it also taught me how to set goals, how to compete against myself, uh, the art of just being a little bit better. Some people call it the 1%, but really competing against yourself, setting goals, working towards something, and not always succeeding, but you get back up and go again. And I also like that sport because it's a teamwork and an individual sport.
Yes. Yes, it is. Now, you were on the men's swim team. Okay.
Yes.
Obviously, nowadays I mean, it's we're arguing about it for different reasons now, but
Oh, I'll just
did
say it.
that?
I'm not afraid to say it. I do not
Mhm.
think men should not compete in women's sports. Clearly, I still hold records at the University of Oklahoma. I was a letterman or woman or whatever,
Yeah.
part of the O Club, which is a big deal for athletes. But
Yes.
as a female on the men's team, because there wasn't women's swimming, that was why.
Hmm.
And I was like the third or fourth fastest, so they wouldn't, for my event, which was backstroke. So I didn't get to go to travel to meets because they would have had to put me in a room by myself instead of
Right.
four
Right.
guys together, so it wasn't economical. Um, but I did it because I thought I was going to go to the Olympics. And so
Right.
it was an opportunity to train, because in business, in sports, in life, I think in any endeavor, you surround yourself with people that are better than you. You raise your lid, and that's the goal, is to raise
Wow.
your own lid. So I was happy competing there, but when Title IX passed and they said we have a scholarship for you, I was like one of two female athletes from Oklahoma. They imported the rest of them from around the country.
Right, right. That is the way you look at competition. That is the way. That's how winners are made. When you want to, and it sounds like you want to compete against, and it doesn't matter if it's sports, if it's business, whatever it may be. I would hate to be with you on Thanksgiving Day doing a card game, because I think that this would be a bad day. I'm competitive as well, and so it would be just like cards are being thrown all over the kitchen. But um, that is how winners are made. Winners are made when you actually measure up against competition that's better than you. And when you use that as a standard, it pushes you up to that. And I love what you just said. And it also shows why you have been so successful for all these years. And you're successful in so many different fields. Um, when did you get into petroleum, and how did you get into it?
Well, that's interesting. And this gives you an insight into myself. I met
Mm-hmm.
when I was a teenager, I met at our church a physical therapist. That was a new field, and I thought, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to help people, because I was an athlete as a teenager, and that whole
Mm-hmm.
physical therapy piece. Because if you swim 10 miles a day, they overswam us. You end up needing to
Wow.
rehab different things.
Something, yeah.
And so it was when I was a freshman, it was the very first year they offered it. And
Mm-hmm.
it was so unorganized. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to help people. And so I decided, okay, this isn't for me, because uh, I couldn't deal with the chaos of that program. And so I looked around and said, okay, what's a challenge? This is very telling about my personality. So all my friends that were in accounting were flunking. So I thought, well, that must be a challenge. I'll go enroll in the business school and be an accounting major. And I figured out pretty quick, just like a lot of things, it's a strategy. That the strategy to winning at accounting, which I ended up not doing, was you had to do your homework every night. It's like the Slight Edge. Like, one of my mentors is the best-selling author of the Slight Edge. I actually work with him. And
Mm-hmm.
you had to do your homework every night. You could not cram for an accounting test. So I decided, okay, accounting is, for me, was, I wanted to work with people, so I shifted to a new field called petroleum land management. So I actually have a degree in petroleum land management, and that is a business degree plus geology, engineering, and law. And I loved it. I graduated, moved to Houston, worked my way to the executive level, get to the executive level, and my boss calls me in one day and says, Leslie, you are really good at what you do, but I'm sorry, you make too much money. And so at a young age, I had reached the executive level, and then they ended up putting the two people I'd been training in my job, and I had no job. But the
Wow.
interesting thing is, Trunnis, that I had already figured out, if I want, for me, it may not be for everybody, but I literally, when I got to the executive level and I said, I'm going to work in the dark, I'm coming home in the dark, I'm working weekends, I am not going to do this in my 50s. This is crazy. And
Right.
I need to start a business. And so I actually opened the first Pilates studio here in Houston.
Okay.
And everybody will say, if they do Pilates or no Pilates, they'll say, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm like, no, it's not. No one had heard of Pilates in the 80s. And
No.
when you're educating people to a need, they don't know what it is. And it was very weird looking. But I had already started that business while I was working full time. And I also had started in direct sales, relationship marketing with wellness. So I had two things to fall back on. And so when I got laid off, I just decided I'm going to figure out this being an entrepreneur thing. I really didn't even know the word because they do not teach you that in business school, which I find
No, they don't.
fascinating. Yeah.
It's funny because they teach you entrepreneurism, even though it is business and it's business, but it's its own little thing. You got to take another, you got to get another type of degree. Yeah.
What they teach you is how to work for someone else. And unfortunately, our education system is designed to crank out worker bees, not um, being curious or independent thinking. And yeah, I mean, I remember when I was in grade school, my dad was an engineer, so mathematician, and I wouldn't understand the math, and so he would show me how to work it a different way because there's multiple ways. Most people don't realize there's multiple ways to work a math problem. And I would do it in a way that made sense to my brain, and my father would show me, and then I would get failure for getting the right answer because it didn't use the method the teacher used. And that was an interesting experience as a child, really, in fourth, fifth, sixth grade, that my father taught me there's always more than one way to work a problem. And when you understand that, it helps you in business, right?
It does. And when you bring that up, it's funny that you bring that up. If you think about it, if you listen to anybody who is a successful entrepreneur, and here I am, I'm a college professor. I teach, I have PhD, all that other crap. But on the other hand, I have an entrepreneurial spirit. So even in like faculty meetings and stuff like that, I clash with everybody because it's like, oh no. I grew up with an entrepreneur father, and I grew up in an entrepreneur family. But when you bring up what you just said, it is so it's not even so weird. It's just this is the way it is. Most good entrepreneurs, ask them how they did in high school. Ask them how they did in college. A lot of them dropped out of college. Because no, this is not what I'm fit to do. I can make so much more money doing something else. And when you brought up what you brought up, I mean, you graduated college, you did all your things, you played by the rules, but you still had that entrepreneurial heart. And that's just it's something that people should, if you're challenging the system and you're doing, maybe you are an entrepreneur, maybe that's what you're supposed to be. Leslie, you are doing something now. Now, I am an individual who I spent a lot of years in the United States Navy, and out of that time, I spent in the United States Navy.
I wanted to say this. I wanted to say this earlier. Thank you for your service. I truly
my
value
pleasure.
that.
Thank you so much. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. As a matter of fact, I would not be living the life I live right now if it wasn't for my time in the military, and I loved it. But I am one of the very few sailors, and I mean very few sailors, that does not have a tattoo at all. And the reason why I do not have a tattoo is because I hate needles.
Oh, interesting.
Hate them.
I don't have one either.
Good. So now you have a product now that you don't need needles.
Yes.
Can you tell us what that product is?
Yes, it's we call it the future of filler. It is a plant peptide, plant stem cells, literally three breakthroughs into one formula. It is a natural topical alternative to Botox or I should say neurotoxins, and injections and fillers. And here's the really cool thing, Trunnis, being an athlete, I still do go to the gym. And this product, literally, you have 40 muscles in your face. It's like taking your face to the gym. It activates the muscles in your face and trains them to lift and fill and plump themselves. It's
Wow.
crazy. And
So it's also
it
healthier
also
then.
has a biostimulator in it that builds collagen in the baby collagen. That's what people don't realize. It causes the sagging. It builds the baby collagen in your skin by over 1,200%.
That
So,
is unbelievable. What's the name of
oh,
the
it's
product?
crazy. It's called Neofiller.
Neo Filler.
Yeah, like
And
new.
you know, and it's obviously we're gonna I just want, because everybody now is like probably trying to type this up. If they're watching me on YouTube right now, which we are on YouTube, they're probably picking up their phone right now, and we're in a little corner of their phone right now while they're trying to type up and try to find what
Well,
this stuff is.
I could give you, a link so that they could go look. And I also,
Please.
something fun for your listeners, because
Hmm.
here's what's interesting. I've been into wellness for decades, and that's my love. But as you age, you start to look older than you feel. Then there's nothing better than looking in the mirror and feeling as young as you feel. I don't know how to describe. That's just, me.
No, it's
But
true.
I
Yeah.
can give you a free. I can give them. I have an AI skin scan. It's dermatologist developed, so it's science backed. It's fun. It takes like 2 minutes. You go to the link, and it analyzes 15 different things on your face, and then tells you, what it is you need, like moisture, or you have redness, and it'll recommend. It's fun. So
I'm afraid to use that because it might tell me I need a new face.
no, I'm
I
looking
was
at
like,
your
yeah,
skin. Your skin looks
yeah.
pretty good. I
Okay,
think
good. Because I'm just sitting there
you
going, I don't know,
probably.
man. It might insult me as it looks like, dude, you really need a new face. You just, yeah. But
Well, men love it because it's simple to
absolutely.
use.
I would absolutely I would actually absolutely use it. The thing, what we, and again, like I said to the audience, I just want you to know that the link will be in the podcast notes. You can read it and you can continue to listen to this. I only have like maybe one or two questions to ask, but I just want to make sure. What I do want you to know, I mean, what I do want to, I want you to tell the audience is that yes, you have retired, you have found new interests, you have done new things. Now you have an outstanding product, and I will have to say, without me being a doctor, without me being a scientist, that what you have is a lot healthier and a lot safer than Botox. I mean,
Oh gosh, yes.
Botox is a
So
toxin. So yeah.
yes. So I for people listening, this will, if you're already using injections, it'll help extend, because Botox and fillers and all that, they're not doing anything for the health of your skin, and this is.
Hmm.
But when I first learned about Botox, I asked my husband. So I want all the women to listen to this. I asked him, because he's a PharmD, what's the long-term effects of Botox? And he said, nerve damage. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is wrong? But people will do things to. That's why I said, you look in the mirror and you feel your best. You're more empowered to do, be, and have, to go out there and
Absolutely.
conquer the world. They also, though, the sad thing about it is, they're showing now that neurotoxin can migrate to the brain, and that's not a good thing.
No,
So,
that's not good at all.
um,
Especially where
yeah.
they're injecting it. They're injecting it pretty close to. Yeah.
I talked to I've never had any. I never was tempted, because I guess it's now called crunchy girl.
Right.
I'm the person that was hanging out at health food stores when it wasn't cool. But I had a
Right.
friend tell me she had injections, so that's like Sculptra and stuff, and it moved in, and it was in one big lump in her chin. I was like, because that stuff migrates. People don't realize you have
Oh.
control over it. Here's a cool thing. There's a product called Sculptra that's a filler to fill this. So it actually does literally lift. That only builds collagen by 69%. What I have is a natural alternative that builds it by 1,223%. Why would you choose to stick a needle in your face? So
yeah, I would never choose. I mean, I'm just not going to choose that. I'm sorry.
maybe
It's just not gonna
because that maybe over a week does, will fill because you're sticking liquid in there, but this is really 30, 60, 90 days. It's pretty dramatic results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My last question to you is, all right, and I really want the audience to know, I always talk about, hey, you can start something, do something. It doesn't matter, never too late. Just keep on moving forward. If if you think your purpose is over, find a new purpose, but do something. What advice would you give to someone right now who is, let's say they're in their 40s, 50s, and they think that, you know what, I'm in the quote unquote twilight of my career, so to speak, and it's not even close to that. But a lot of people
They
at
think
45, 50 years old, they put themselves in that groove. That's it. I'm not making any major decisions right now. I'm not making a change. But you obviously did. So what is that? What would you tell someone to make sure that they're able and capable and flexible to do something?
Well, I'm going to give you a framework and then give some statistic, but the current science, we've come so far in what we understand about longevity. The current science shows we should be living to 140 years. So when you hit 70, you're halfway there. And if you're 40 or 50 or 60, the current research shows that people in their 50s and 60s starting businesses as an entrepreneur, and that's what I do, Trunnis. I coach people how to be an entrepreneur. I love sharing what I do with people because, you can also, if you're interested in the product that I have, I'd be happy. But there's lots of opportunities out there. But people, especially women in their 50s and 60s, starting as entrepreneurs, they have the experience, the maturity, the wisdom, because it doesn't happen overnight. And what most people don't realize is the average millionaire has failed in business 3.8 times. So it's a journey of, I call it failing forward. And so I find it fascinating that people in their 50s and 60s are like the biggest wave now of starting businesses because they do have the experience, life experience and maturity. And truthfully, as long as people are coachable, teachable, willing to follow a system, and then they can have success. And that's the difference. Is when I first came to be an entrepreneur, I thought I knew it all because I had a degree in business and I wasn't coachable. And it took me about 6 months of falling flat on my face to figure out maybe I better go find someone to mentor me. And that really is a difference. I think a mentor than a coach. A mentor is someone who's already walked that path and you can follow in their footsteps. It's like, I'll ask you a question, if I may.
Yes.
My husband, this was because he also went to school, got a degree for pharmacy, and then he ended up opening a pharmacy and learning the whole entrepreneur piece. He always asks people, how do you walk through a minefield? So you're in the military. How do you walk through a minefield?
Very carefully.
And that is 99% of people say that, but that's not the right answer. The right answer is behind someone. You see a footprint, you put your foot there.
Absolutely.
And you put your foot in their footprints because they didn't blow up, which means you won't blow up. And that's how simple it is.
And that is a true statement, and that it's really nice. And I agree with everything you say. One thing I hope, and I want everybody to listen to this podcast, don't get me wrong, I just don't want the federal government to listen to that 140-year thing, because I am 7 years away from collecting my Social Security. And I know if you
Sorry.
give them any type of opportunity, they will push it out. We won't be able to get our Social Security till like we're 96, 97 years old. So please do not, what she said about the 140 years, she did not mean, okay? I'm just telling you, all right? So
Okay, I want
that's
to
all.
say this. People who think they're old, in their 70s are crazy, because my mother at 92, we went to Prague together, and she outwalked me, but then
Absolutely.
she walked 5 or 6 miles a day pretty much till she hit 98, 99. And she also started in the gym in her 70s. That's another whole story. I started that for her. And so she was strong and vibrant and lived alone because my father had passed away. So really, I would just encourage people, maybe what should we say, living a vibrant life to 100. We'll do that. Then that way they can't change
Absolutely.
your Social Security.
They better not. They probably will. But anyway, but and it's funny that you bring this up. I met somebody. I don't know if I ever brought this up on the podcast or not, but I went to it was an independent living center, and there was a guy who was 99 years old. There was a man who was 99 years old who was the director of recreation and fitness, and he did not look 99. And I went to him and I said, "What keeps you living as long as you do?" And this is the wisest answer I've ever heard in my life. He was 99, and he said, "Tomorrow."
Your future self. Yes.
And I was like, "What do you mean tomorrow?" He goes,
Yeah.
"Tomorrow." He goes, "I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you right now, the day I stop thinking about tomorrow is the day I probably won't wake up." And it was
No one likes
unbelievable.
going to, nobody likes exercising, going to the gym, eating healthy, and all of that, but your future self loves you for it. And that's what I'll
Absolutely.
leave you with.
Absolutely. And that is great. Leslie, thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you for being a part of the podcast. And I will say that all the information for Leslie will be in the podcast notes. There's probably links that have already been clicked right now as we speak, because the fact that they're like, oh, wait, I don't have to get a needle and I can have better skin. And so that's probably happened already. But you can definitely get this in the podcast notes. Leslie, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for everything. And again, like I said, I appreciate you being on the program. We will be right back right after this.
The 4 Ps of You, Expanded Edition by Trunnis Goggins, is a powerful guide to personal growth built on 4 foundational principles: purpose, planning, passion, and persistence. In this expanded edition, Goggins shares real stories of trials and tribulations, his own and those of others, to inspire readers to reflect, reset, and rise. With added insights and practical exercises, this book empowers you to navigate life's challenges, unlock your potential, and live with greater intention and impact. The 4 Ps of You is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and worldwide wherever books are sold.
I hope that you enjoyed Leslie's interview. Her information's in the podcast notes. Her products are in the podcast notes as well. I'm going to tell you, it is so great to have entrepreneurs on this program. It's great to have entrepreneurs and slash trailblazers on this program. This is the second time. And it's funny. Last month, we had Dr. Carolyn Brooks Collins on the program. This month, we have Leslie Hocker. Again, 2 very powerful women. March is National Women's Month. So it is fantastic to have people like that on the program, that are actually not only they're doing it right now. They're doing it. And so it was great to have her on the program. I talked about Unscrewed at the very beginning of the podcast. You are going to see her. I asked her to write a small story to put in Unscrewed, the book, and I want to share a little bit of it in the book Unscrewed that is coming out in spring of 2026. It's coming out just in a couple of weeks. I promise you that it is coming out in a couple of weeks. You know, speaking about books coming out next week, so this time next week, I will be in my hometown of Buffalo, New York. We are having a book launch. We're actually having a book party for the launching of the book Lessons of My Father. I'm going to tell you, that was a very hard book to write. Um, but it's for a good cause. It's for some good things, and I hope you enjoy the book. I hope you get the book. Again, it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and things like that. So please, 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 get the book. It is like I said, it is a fantastic book, and it is there for. It's not, it's just a book to just, hey, this is what happened, and this is what goes on, and a lot of families experience this and that. And again, so next week we are going to be in Buffalo, New York. I will give you more details. It'll be on the website. It'll also be in the podcast notes as well. So I hope to see you if you are in the Buffalo area. I hope to see you in that spot. Can you believe that I have a cat that just jumped on my back? Yes, I do have a cat, and he came into the studio and decided to sit behind me, and I was so there you go. This is even though this is recorded, I think I'm going to keep this in the recording because you just saw a little cat paw that was right there, and he's sitting behind me. I don't know why he's doing it, but he's a great cat. And now he just kind of touched my back. So there you go. But next week we will have Steve Tolan on our program. Steve Tolan is from the great country of Australia. Speaking of Australia, I will be in Australia at the end of March, so please come by and see us there if you are on Australian. We're going to be in Sydney. We're also going to be in Hobart. We'll be there for 2 weeks. It's going to be a great time. I cannot wait to be there. That is like that. Seriously, that's like my second home. I love it there. We will be talking to you next week with Steve Tolan. Great story. He's inspired me to do something, and I'll tell you what he's inspired me to do next week. But again, talk to you next week. Have a great day. Bye bye.